Hello everybody and welcome to Dad-Bod Nerd. So today we have an article from ScreenRant, as you can see. Batman Beyond settles Tony Stark versus Bruce Wayne forever. When Bruce Wayne can no longer put on the suit in Batman Beyond, he tries to do things another way, proving that Iron Man is far superior to Batman. This is by Spencer Connolly. It was published May 9th, 2022. So, before I really say anything, I get pedantic. Hopefully you guys like it. If you don't, I don't care. But oh well, let's get into it. Since both characters are billionaires without inherent superpowers who use their wealth to develop a method to fight evil in their respective worlds, the debate over who is better between Batman and Iron Man has raged for decades. But an issue of Batman Beyond proves that Iron Man is superior. Tony Stark first became Iron Man after he was captured as a prisoner of war and developed a suit that could keep him alive following a near-fatal injury. Since then, he continuously created better versions of his original design until he was successful in developing an entire army of his suits that he can control remotely in what's known as the Iron Legion, which in cinema was represented in Iron Man 3. Bruce Wayne, on the other hand, refined his body and mind rather than just his suit upon his entrance into the superhero world. Bruce trained with the greatest masters of basically every kind of martial art to make himself the pinnacle of what human beings are capable of. However, in the Neotech future of Batman Beyond, Bruce is a lot older and can no longer put his body through the abuse that is necessary to be Batman, so he tries to create a new way to be the superhero he once was by seemingly taking a page out of Iron Man's book, but his version is far less effective. In Batman Beyond, Volume 3, Number 4, by Adam Beechin and Ryan Benjamin, Bruce Wayne unleashes, for the first time, a project he's been working on, an army of life-sized Batbots that he can control from the Batcave. In this issue, Bruce is using his robots to track down a copycat of Hush, and that's an important distinction there that I'll get to later. I just want to point that out. When he finds him, he uses the bots to try and take him down, but they are pretty swiftly defeated by the villain. The controlling mechanisms were glitchy, and the bots themselves weren't reinforced with strong enough armor, making it so Hush could easily rip off the chest plate and expose the power source, rendering them useless almost immediately. Given that these bots were Bruce's own design, the loss was a heavy blow. And you can see here the copycat. You'll keep the main power supply under the chest emblem. You'll reinforce it to direct attacks, but maybe not something more subtle. And of course, it seems as if he is going from an angle from underneath. And it looks like it just pops the plate right off and exposes it. While Batman in his prime may have been able to take down Iron Man one-on-one, given his past victories within the DC universe, Batman Beyond proves that Bruce is nowhere near as efficient and effective as Tony Stark. Even with all the advanced futuristic technology he could ever want within the world of Batman Beyond, Bruce still couldn't make a remotely controlled suit of armor that could hold up against one skilled fighter with no powers. Meanwhile, Iron Man has been able to develop a fleet of Iron Man suits with modern-day tech that are vastly superior to Batman's models. If Iron Man was in Batman's place during the events of this Batman Beyond storyline, Hush would have been brought down with little efforts, as his robots would not have had the same obvious weaknesses and laggy controls as Batman's. Because of the clear-cut nature of this particular side-by-side comparison, Iron Man is a much more effective hero than Batman, as Iron Man's reliance on his own tech makes him a formidable hero regardless of his age, whereas Batman seemingly needs to be in his prime to be an effective hero since his tech is way less advanced, proving that Iron Man is superior to Batman once and for all. Alright, so let's go into this. So that last sentence is really kind of what sets them apart. And then we take from the beginning, of course. So the difference between them is Tony Stark's heavy reliance, like heavy reliance on his tech. Whereas they make the distinction in the beginning of the article that Batman refined his body and mind as well as, his body and his mind, rather than relying solely on his tech. So it's part of the reason why, of course, he mentions that his body can no longer go through the abuse of being Batman, hence the reason why he goes into this project. So that's kind of point number one. That's one of the main differences between them. So Iron Man's reliance on his own tech makes him a formidable hero. Absolutely. So that's number one. The tech is obviously going to be in a completely different state because of this reason. One focused solely on the tech, while the other one focused on their body, and the tech was kind of secondary. The tech developed as situational, what they needed. That's Batman, for those who were lost. And so that leads into number 2, the difference in the tech. Even in modern day, Tony Stark is a genius when you break down these characters, because they've gone through so many iterations, so many universe reboots from both Marvel and DC. Batman's character, down at his core, is a vigilante detective who brings down criminals in the underworld at night. Obviously, Bruce Wayne, he's a billionaire, so he's got the money for the gadgets and all this stuff. But he breaks down into a vigilante detective. Tony Stark breaks down into a billionaire genius, like mechanical, electrical, nuclear engineering. There's no way around that. Batman turned into this like genius level, quote unquote. I mean, I say that with any amount of respect I can muster for the character, because believe me, I love Batman. I grew up with Batman the Animated Series, and it was amazing. But when you're talking about intelligence levels, Batman is nowhere near Tony Stark, and I don't understand why in the last 15, 20 years that became a thing. And I've got friends who are just as into comics and everything as I am, and some of them claim to not be a Batman fanboy, but he's just as smart. Absolutely not. You can be almost as intelligent as somebody else, but it's also not intelligent in the same way. Intelligence is a measure of, I believe intelligence, like your IQ, intelligence quotient, is a measure of your creativity and application, not necessarily how actually intelligent, how smart you really are. So that's kind of a misnomer to begin with. So that was point number 2. Bruce is just not nearly as intelligent, like actual IQ wise, as Tony Stark. So regardless, whatever Tony creates is going to be leaps and bounds above whatever Bruce Wayne can make. Sorry, everybody. Just not going to happen. However, point number 3. The Batbots should not have been nearly as crap as they were, because, as stated in here, the Neotech future of Batman Beyond. The Batsuit was created, I'm trying to remember because it's been a while since I've actually seen Batman Beyond. I believe it was in episode 1 or 2. Bruce states that he created the current Batsuit, the one that Terry McGinnis wears. It's actually like 15 or 20, maybe even older, but I think it's about 15, 20 years old, even compared to then. That's the last suit that he wore, which was created with nanotechnology. So who knows how it was even refined back then. We know how technology increases just year to year today. So who knows how well it's refined back then from a 10, 15 year leap. It's not... I feel like it's disingenuous. I understand this is fantasy. So don't fault me for that. I told you I get pedantic. But it feels disingenuous within the comic book world of Batman and Batman Beyond to state that this suit was created and then 15, 20 years later we don't have the technology, or the technology hasn't increased enough so that this Batsuit is still one of the highest level things in this future timeline, and that nothing is going to be better, and that these Batbots are going to be a lower level than this. And you can look at how clunky, at the frame of these things. They look to be in size kind of between Terry McGinnis and Bruce Wayne, or Batman, from the animated series, as far as their size goes. So that's a whole bunch of nanotech that could be fit inside that kind of a robot. It does not make sense why they would be clunky, as far as their control mechanisms being glitchy, and the bots themselves not being reinforced with strong enough armor. Terry's a human, and he takes punishment from full-on machines. Like, he gets hit with construction equipment in that series, and the only thing that helps him is his own body and the protection from the Batsuit's nano armor. So why do those bots not have enough armor to protect against whatever it is that Hush copycat has? That's my fourth point, by the way, is that is a Hush copycat. That is not Hush himself. Therefore, that person should not be nearly as competent as Hush. So the fact that this person is able to take out those bat bots relatively easy, I don't feel like whoever wrote Adam Beechin and Ryan Benjamin, I don't think they put in enough thought to what's actually going on. And it's not really a knock on them. I don't think they understood what they were actually doing with this piece, this property. Like in this instance, I don't think they actually understood what they were doing with it because of these flaws. Well, I do understand that in this situation, that because they're of Bruce's own design, the loss is a heavy blow. I think they mean for morale. But the only thing I can say about that, while Batman in his prime may have been able to take down Iron Man one-on-one given his past victories in the DC universe, I still don't think that that's true. Again, the current iteration of Batman is really this whole give me enough time and I can take down anyone kind of thing, except Spider-Man is kind of the same way, and Iron Man is also the same way. I mean, at one point, if I remember correctly, Iron Man made an anti-Hulk ray with his chest, God, I can't remember what they call it, his chest cannon, that turned the Hulk back into Bruce Banner because he had enough time to fiddle with it and change the radiation output. So Tony Stark, again, is a genius. Give him enough time, he should be able to think of something. If you're going to give Batman the ability to have enough time to figure something out, Tony Stark is, I think, the 4th or 5th smartest person in the Marvel comics. Maybe a little further down the line, but still, he should be able to do something even better. I do understand Batman seemingly needs to be in his prime to be an effective hero since his tech is way less advanced. I do agree with that. That's just kind of an overall thing, though. Batman is a far more physical person. He's also a regular human, unlike Superman, who just gets stronger as he gets older because he absorbs more solar radiation because, you know, he's a plant person, basically. I wanted to touch on this one. So the obvious weakness, the laggy controls, is really what I was going for here. The laggy controls. So currently, we have the ability to download programs that will run programs from other people, like other people have programmed, and we have a limited sort of AI that runs algorithms. Bruce has been shown in the comics already to be able to run algorithms to program, so it does not make sense why he couldn't run his own algorithms and of course refine them, especially over years and years, especially fighting routines, battle analysis, things like that. And especially, again, because this is the Neotech future, I'm pretty sure they have higher level AIs. I'm trying to remember, I think there was some AI in one of the episodes that Terry actually fights, which is obviously one of those like villain, like an ultra high level that escaped kind of thing. But there was a high level AI at one point controlling a bunch of things. I mean, so many things in there is automated to begin with, but if I remember correctly, there is actual AI. I agree with the outcome that Tony Stark is better as far as tech goes, but their reasoning is kind of wrong. It's not necessarily because Bruce's Batbots failed. It's the fact that Bruce's Batbots failed because there's no real reason for them to have failed that I don't agree with. Because the premise for them to have failed is kind of wrong. And the fact that they failed to a low-level copycat of a villain is also just, I find, very odd. But well, there we go. So hey, drop a comment. Let me know what you guys think. If you hated it, let me know. If you liked it, please let me know. Please drop a like. This is my first video, so I hope everybody liked it. I will have a follow-up tutorial, a little tutorial, very short, on how to get rid of ads and stuff. As you can see, there are no ads on this side, or in the middle here, as you can see, like this says ScreenRant video of the day, as there almost always is. It's just going to be a short little thing. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed it. Thank you.